Welcome to our new Pick the Brain podcast. I'm Dr. Caleb Frankel. I'm an ER veterinarian by trade and founder of Instinct. We're starting this new project because over the years of building Instinct, we've been really fortunate to get to learn from some of the best and brightest leaders in the veterinary field. They obviously self-select for choosing Instinct tools, so we get that leg up. But we thought we'd try something new, and we want to launch this podcast to share a little bit of the awesome learning on all things hospital operations, leadership, ownership, industry trends, and of course, technology. So today, I'm pretty excited because we have my colleague and fast friend, Dr. Fred Wininger, on Pick the Brain. Fred is somebody I think everyone in the industry should know. He's a neurologist first and foremost, but he's also an industry force for, I would say, innovation good, maybe. I don't know if that's how you describe yourself, but you've done some really cool things, pioneering everything from 3D, printed medical devices to developing and publishing, papers on some forward-thinking tools. But you're also now the founder of the Animal Neurology Center in St. Louis, Missouri, which I believe you started last year, 2025, right?
That's right. That's
Great.
right.
And yeah, I've been fortunate to know Fred because Instinct is very proud to be powering your new center. And we're having you here on Pick the Brain because the Animal Neurology Center is not, I would say, a normal veterinary hospital. You're really trying to pioneer, something new, and you can probably describe it better. But I would say, there's two things that I think are super interesting. One is it's this unique single specialty, really focused, serve your community really well model. But you've also launched this Center of Excellence hub for, all things innovation and pushing the profession forward. So I hope you're okay if I pick your brain on those things. Welcome.
I'm excited. Thanks for having me here. I figured that I would be your first guest because obviously you chose Pick the Brain for a neurologist, right? I mean, that seems
it's
just
obvious.
So obvious. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, there's multiple entendres, I guess, with Pick the Brain there.
That's right.
So okay. My first question is, I guess, how did you tell the audience how you ended up launching the ANC? Where did the idea come from some of the things that you're doing, and why do you think it's needed out there?
Yeah, that's. I could talk about this forever. And thanks for having me on. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm pretty excited about what we're building here at the Animal Neurology Center. So, like many specialists, I finished my residency and I went to work at big multidisciplinary hospitals, and just amazing experiences, right? You get the opportunity to have hallway consults. You get to interact with your colleagues really nicely. You're supported by not only amazing equipment, but also an intensive care unit, which can take care of your cases when you're not there. Like, from an infrastructure standpoint, it makes so much sense. And yet, when you look at the human world, it doesn't take much to drive past those giant hospitals to see there's the spine center, there's the brain center, there's the finger center, there's the toe center. And so when you look at that, you can't help but wonder, why is single specialty medicine the emerging kind of platform that we see in human care, and yet in the animal world is kind of restricted to some niche specialties that lean into it? Well, I was interested in exploring that. And I remember I worked at this amazing multidisciplinary hospital in Charlotte. And after being there for several years, one of the owners pulled me aside and said, "Fred, you're doing great. You've brought all this revenue in. Now we have to figure out how to make you profitable." And I remember thinking, "Oh, how dare you suggest that I'm not profitable?" And I couldn't understand why until I realized all the value that comes from those multidisciplinary hospitals also speaks to the large infrastructure and large administration that's required to keep them operational. And so, many have done single specialty medicine before, but I was curious about it. And what I found is that single specialty hospitals enable us to be lean and mean. The front desk doesn't need to know where to sift different cases. They're focused on neurology. Our back of house is only doing neurology. So not only is our staff lean and mean, but our equipment is as well. We're only buying pharmaceuticals and fancy toys that speak to us. And then, I don't have to justify why I need this very exceptional piece of equipment to a number of colleagues when we're distributing the capital expenses amongst a bunch. So there's tons of value there. And I think our clients really appreciate it because when they come in, they know what they can expect. They know what they're getting. They get that boutique luxury care that they've come to want. Can I go on, Caleb, or am I waxing too much?
No, I mean this is amazing. It's a really cool story. Well, let me poke at maybe one thing. So
Yeah.
I want to get to the center of excellence model because that's a little separate. But first, can you tell us a little more about how you think about this single specialty in your community and how it plays with the general practitioners and how it fits in a world where these large multi-specialty emergency centers are in your community, I assume as well.
Yeah. I think one of the limitations on creating single specialty historically has been, well, what if it's somebody else's domain? What are you going to do about that? And that in the COVID era just got thrown out the window because every specialist is at your fingertips, and so there's no worries about that. And from a core value standpoint, I've always wanted to just be the guy for my people, right? And so I move into a community that I love, the St. Louis veterinary community, by the way, exceptional. They see each other as colleagues, not competitors, but I get to be their person, right? And what I'm most excited about is the sense of community that we're building, which we're going to talk about in a moment. But it's also just relegated to the clinics. Whether you love or hate the veg model, I've always been intrigued by it, and we're creating veg for vets. So envision a scenario where you're a primary care clinician and you're like, that really interests me, and I don't know what's going to happen to it after I send it away. Well, what we routinely have happen is generalists will come into the clinic with their clients. We do the exam together, and when the exam is complete, the veterinarian comes in back and will run the MRI with us. They'll do
Wow.
surgery with us. And not only is it enriching for the veterinarian, but the primary care or the client automatically develops this tremendous team relationship, not just with us, but now they look at their primary care veterinarian and say, wow, you took time out of your day to go through the care of my pet. You reassured me in those moments that were so scary. The bond that they create is exceptional. So I think that is a really exciting thing that we're building within the community.
That is so cool. I mean, imagine in human health, if your primary care physician came, if you were going to a specialist that you were referred to. I mean, that's not unheard of, but the trust that you get to build there for clients is incredible. That's one of the hardest things as an ER vet. That trust that you build is you don't have any. You're starting from zero almost every case. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's talk about the center of excellence model. So this is like another layer that could be its own thing, but tell everybody about what you're doing and how this started.
Yeah. Single specialty medicine, although I feel as if we're developing a renaissance in the face of private equity and all the other influences coming into our field, it's just not novel. I have many colleagues that have done it and done it extremely well and successfully. So we wanted to do more. Speaking about corporate influence on veterinary medicine, it's not just buying out specialty hospitals. Their influences impacted conferences. They own most of the conferences and even the new universities that are coming online. And at the same time, academia is struggling to man the halls of their teaching hospitals. And so we really wanted to lean into education hard because we think it's a responsibility, not just from a small business standpoint, but from a profession commitment standpoint that we wanted to lean into. So we created a very large education space, which not only includes a learning center, but also places for students to be housed and to stay. And so we have students coming from all over the country, both in traditional and distributive model schools to get their primary instruction here. We
Mhm.
also have residents. And then on top of that, we have two other folds to our education. One is that we have monthly seminars with our local community. And those aren't just about getting race approved CE, those are about spending time together. I mean, we chose this profession because it's to some degree our identity, and we need to connect with each other on that. I know that our friendship has built through that community as well, and so being able to build that is special. And when you think about what specialty hospitals do to connect with their primary care community, they'll have an annual event, maybe some CE. But we had a trivia night the other night, and our local veterinarians came in with their staff. And so they had social education opportunities with their staff inside our hospital. That builds a bond that is you just can't replicate it. And then the last component about our education is that we're teaching weekend seminars to all levels of the veterinary profession postgraduate. So that includes neurology boot camp for those that want to bone up on neurology. You can't spell neuro without ER for the urgent care veterinarians that want to get a little stronger. We have a neurosurgical course, which we're teaching neurosurgeons how to do advanced techniques. And we
Wow.
have a neuroimaging course that's sponsored by our big industry partner that has radiologists, surgeons, neurologists coming from all over the country. And
Wow.
then and then the last part is if we have great care, which leads to great education, that drives industry partnerships. Our vendors want to come in and say, hey, if you have all of these students and all of this influence on the community, we want to be a part of that too. And so they bring in their human grade equipment and say, test this out for us, innovate it, validate it, and we're going to create the technology of the future for veterinary medicine. So it's a fun kind of exponential growth model.
It's amazing. I mean, over the years, I've been involved in a lot of projects in industry as well as in the ER. I worked with Clinicians Brief, with Plums, now with Instinct. And along that journey, at almost every spot, there's been leadership discussions. Should we partner with or open a veterinary hospital so we can test new things, right? I'm sure other industry people, had this, but you're basically doing this. You're providing this for forward-thinking companies, which is kind of interesting. And I've heard some of your examples where it works for the vendor, it works for you, and it gives back to the client. So it's like a win-win-win, and I just love it. So
Yeah. I'm very fascinated with what partnership looks like because historically it's the sneaker deal, right? You give me cheap stuff and I help you market your stuff. And then
right.
we just kind of go in our own parallel directions. And this is much more interwoven. Our partners, we make them make commitments to us about seeing their roadmap, being beta testers, having
Mhm.
influence on the research and development side of things. And in the reverse, those vendors, not only do we help them with marketing, but they come in and they actually work through our workflow with us and learn how they can improve their equipment through their own channels. So
Yeah.
it's a really fun, true reciprocal relationship.
Well, I can tell you, there's another part of it too, which is you educate our team. So for those that don't know, Fred is very generous with his time, but he adopted Instinct last year, and I had him talk to our team about what it's meant, where there are learnings, the magic wand features he needs, and uh, pretty consistently our team rated that the number one experience of last year's meeting with customers. They just loved it, and so it goes both ways, I guess, right?
Well,
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that. And as an aside, Instinct, since we're patting each other on the back, which we're really good at, Instinct is that weird EMR where I can actually say, I love my EMR. I don't know anyone that's ever said that before. And so getting to interface with your team and be a part, even if it's a teeny part of the continued growth and development, brings a lot of fulfillment to me. So that's
Well,
great. Thank you.
I appreciate that. But since this is more about you and what you're doing, one more question. If somebody out there is a specialist and they are thinking about this model, they, maybe in their community, they've been thinking about should they start, a hospital like this? What advice would you give them? I know you've helped others get things off the ground.
Yeah, man, there's so many things. I mean, I think one is take the leap. It's the most horrible, challenging, difficult thing you do, and you'll love every moment of it. It is just so
Right.
rewarding to build something that is yours. And I think that most generalists and specialists know they're really good at their job. And most of us are. And we know that we can connect with humans that own pets. We know we can connect with the animals themselves in the primary care facility arena. And I think the things that people are most afraid of is the business side of it because they just don't have the training, afraid of the support. What if I fail? Those sorts of things.
Yep.
The best advice I could give is reach out to someone like me or you, and we are so excited to share those opportunities. The first thing I did actually was I spoke to a colleague of mine, Natalie Marks, and she said, you got to go on SBA.gov and go to SCORE. And I was like, what is that? It is the coolest thing. So, believe it or not, if you go onto SBA.gov, you will be paired up for free with an expert in business.
Oh,
And the
amazing.
advice that I got was invaluable. I was paired up with a woman named Dana, who was a former executive vice president at MasterCard. And the value that I drew from that was amazing. And then it's leaning into some of the most important vendors that you're going to have. I use the word vendors because they're second party. a great lawyer, essential, and a great financier. Uh, we have a bank that we work with, and they've just not only provided us support in the beginning, but throughout the build out and also beyond. So I think those are the initial first steps. If
Amazing.
yeah.
And I'll recommend people should reach out to you if they want more advice.
Oh, thank you. It comes free, and I really do. I love it because
Yeah.
I think we're bringing the profession back to the professionals. We've lost it for a while, and I'm proud to share any of those experiences with my colleagues.
Amazing. Well, it's been awesome having you on. I want to end with two quick hitting sort of questions.
Sure.
I'll start with the first one, which I ask, which is, what is just one leadership lesson you've sort of learned, maybe the hard way, that cost you time or money? I call this 2x4 advice. In the journey leading, there are always 2x4s sort of sticking out around the corner that maybe you can help some of our listeners duck every once in a while.
Yeah. I'm still practicing this, Caleb. So I'm not an expert at it, but these decisions that you make are often a lot like a marriage. And even when you're right, you might be wrong. So the thing that I am most challenged by is this delusion of grandeur where everything should be correct. And in the absence of it being correct, I'm going to fight until it's that way. A recent example is we had a challenge with our MR shield, which is not an inexpensive problem. And the two dreaded words for any small business owner are change order. And so the change orders started coming, and it was a couple $1,000s, amount of revenue that wouldn't have really made a big impact on our hospital. And I could have just acquiesced to it, but I said, no, this is not right. And I fought it and I literally probably put about 35 man hours into fighting it. What a waste of time, right? So put your positive energy where it belongs. Pay the things that are negative energy. You have too much to offer. You're too valuable. Let them go. That would be my advice.
Man, that's great. Spoken like a pro.
Well,
Okay, the last one. What's an underrated tool or feature or process in your hospital that your team would just riot if you took away? Obviously, besides instinct. So anything else?
I was going to say there's some low hanging fruit there, right? Like instinct's the obvious one because it enables them to do twice as much in half the time. And maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but they love it. That said, what would be the other things? As great, two of them. One, as great as instinct is, my team still likes to write stuff down. So give them places to write things. That's an important one. And the second one seems so trivial and dumb, but and expensive. A fenced-in yard with turf is the thing that my team would kill me for if they don't have it. And I mean, this was a tremendous expense, but
That's a
it's
great
paid
one.
off in spades because when those dogs are recovering, I see my techs playing out there in the sun with the patients, just interacting with them, and I'm convinced that's the reason why they heal so well.
I'm a big believer in this too. It's some hospitals it's really hard, but if you can do it, it's really good. So
Yeah.
amazing. Well, it has been awesome having you on Pick the Brain. Thank you for joining and spending time.
Let's do it again. Thanks for having me, Caleb.